All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. As usual, we're going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on. So today we're trying yet another setup. We're going to be trying to use the iPad to see if this works out better. Don't be surprised if I have to stop the stream and start the stream again to make sure that everybody can hear me. What's going on, Jermaine? Good morning, sir. How's the volume? Does it sound good, or is it terrible? How do we sound here? What's up, Nicholas? Good morning, Vietnam. Boy, it's been a while since I've watched that movie. What's going on, Dwayne? Good to see you this morning, sir. Hey, it's not that hot. No, I did not see anybody walk down the street and burst into flames. I did not. What's going on, Benjamin? Yeah. Less than a month to go. What's up, Camel Shark? Just 28 days. There's actually a team that's playing a week earlier than that, I believe. I think there's a team that's playing on the 27th this month. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. What's up, Freddie G? Oh. Let's see here. August 24th. I don't know who that is yet. Let's see. Week 0. There is Colgate plays Villanova and Sanford plays Youngstown. And that is where it begins. Oh man. The first real smackdown of the season is probably going to be Thursday, August 29th, when Clemson plays Georgia Tech. And then after that, you'll see Purdue versus Nevada, Oregon State versus Oklahoma State, and then real football begins. So, by the way, for the 4 teams that are playing on August 24th, Colgate and Villanova, Sanford and Youngstown, this will be the most viewers they get all season. There's no way that they're going to get any more viewers than that. Oh man. Let's see. Florida versus Miami. Yeah, I'm going to be watching that game for sure. Hey, Big Dog, what positions are you most worried about at Georgia? Honestly, I'm the most concerned about our inside linebacker situation. I want to see some step up in that area. Hold that thought. Be right back. All right. Welcome back to the infamous Big Dog Brett Outdoor Studios. Kind of wiping the screen down here a little bit because I'm getting some glare. It's hard to see some of the comments. So if you're wondering what I'm doing now, I'm doing something that I should have done 20 minutes ago when I was setting everything up. So yeah. Oh man, let's see. I can adjust. I didn't know I could do this live. Check that out. All kind of fun stuff to play with, guys. No, your screen's not broken. It's just me messing around. There we go. Mark Paul said, Georgia. Woo. I think the inside linebacker position is going to be key for us this year. Having been, I think, the worst team in college football last year as far as sacks goes, is a serious problem we've got to address. Mark Paul Collins picked a bad time to enter this rivalry. Tay Crowder will turn some heads this year. I'm hoping, sir. I want to see Monte Rice step up. Still giving everybody a moment to jump in here. I didn't realize you could do all these cool little things with the about some bubbles, guys. Funny, funny, funny. Let's just go back to normal. Yeah, we do. We certainly have some talent, but you know, we've had talent for the past 3 years, but we've got to be able to get all the. We got to be able to fire on all cylinders whenever we need to. Who do I have for Oregon versus Auburn? It's actually a really interesting question. Oregon certainly has the ability to stretch the field. Auburn has some fast wide receivers as well. But I'm curious that if Oregon, because they don't play teams like Auburn very often, Auburn implements a lot of the kind of trickeration stuff. And I mean, we play them all the time. Sometimes it still catches us off guard. So I think that may be a factor in that game. We'll see what happens. But Oregon certainly has the points. I think Oregon might struggle with Auburn's defense. I think Auburn may be able to pull that game off. So we'll see what happens. Somebody asked about wide receivers. Who was that? He said screen effects, thought he was catching a second-hand buzz. He said, how do I feel about our receivers? That's kind of one of the things I'm going to get into today. I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes to jump on. House tour. My house? No, sir. My wife will kill us. She'll kill all of us. Crystal Ball has them more physical, and we'll see. What's up, Big Dog Freakazoid? Or Bulldog Freakazoid? Auburn has up and down years. Last year was a down year. It's their running back situation. Their entire... If you go back and you look at all of their really winning seasons, they have to have a good running back. If they don't have a good running back, they struggle. What's going on, VT Dub? Had to adjust the fan. It's a little warm out today. It's overcast. It's not hot, but it's not cold either. We're in the process of getting a bunch of stuff packed up for now. I'll give you guys more news on that as we get closer down the road. Some exciting news for the Big Dog family. Okay, let's get rid of that screen. We don't need that screen. I wanted to try out the iPad because I really have not been happy with the microphone that I've been using on my phone. I've recorded 2 videos. Actually, I've recorded 4 videos. And by the time I go back and listen to it and take the stuff out that I don't like, the minor editing that I usually like to add to mine, can't seem to get the sound to where I want it to be for me to put it out. I've got several videos right now. I've just got to find a way to get that fixed. You're going to be at the game on the 45-yard mark seats. Which game are you talking about, Jermaine? As a Dog fan, I think LSU is the team that will come out of the West. It's certainly a possibility. I've mentioned it. Let's see what happens. All right, do me a favor, guys. Trying to get to the 1,600 subscriber mark. Maybe was a little too ambitious with the 2,000 mark. So if you would, share, like, subscribe. Take a moment and just hit the share button wherever it's at. I think it's over there somewhere. Kick it around Facebook. Just say, hey, this guy's... really annoying, and yeah, we watch him on Saturdays because there's nothing else to do. Maybe you should too. Hit the thumbs up. It's tax deductible. Doesn't cost you anything. We really appreciate it. It makes the grass grow. All that fun stuff. All right, so we're pretty far in here. One of the things I wanted to talk about was kind of how Kirby Smart is looking at this upcoming season. My 4th and 11 day, Dennis, trolling early. Too early for trolling, sir. Kirby Smart explains it will be a different season for wide receiver Demetrius Robinson. Georgia might be still the number 1 linebacker prospect away from Clemson. Justin Flo, who's a strong favorite for Clemson, is down to Georgia and Clemson. I thought he had Georgia, Clemson, Oregon, and Georgia, Clemson, Oregon, and what was the other team? It was the ACC team. Miami, I think it was. So yeah, if he's down to Georgia and Clemson, Miami. If he's down to Georgia and Clemson, it's certainly a possibility Georgia could end up with him. That would be huge for us. We'll see what happens. But everybody that visits Georgia, they talk about how it feels like such a brotherhood. Jermaine is going to be at the Vandy game. Man, isn't that game played in Nashville? It's like 4.5 hours away from where I live, man. I'd love to go to that game. Opening game would be awesome. So I'm going to kind of jump into it. Kirby Smart explained the difference this season for wide receiver Demetrius Robinson. I'll just kind of go through it real quick. D-Rob played 9 games last year, didn't make a catch, but he did have a 72-yard touchdown run against Austin Peay. But it's Austin Peay. I think that was more of Georgia called the right play. Austin Peay's defense was out of position, and anybody with any speed could have run that for a touchdown. He does keep talking about him. One of the things some of the numbers about D-Rob are just crazy good. As a freshman at Cal in 2016, he led the team with 50 catches, 767 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That's better than any receiver we had on our entire team last year. This is what Kirby Smart said. I think he's probably more prepared for the level of competition this year. Demetrius competed well and had a great spring. He's fast, explosive, and understands the system a little better. He's more prepared for the competition he's going to face. Now think about that. That last statement right there says a lot. He's more prepared for the competition he's going to face. That's not Kirby Smart saying maybe we're going to put him in. That's Kirby Smart saying he's going to have to compete. He's got to be out there. Camel Shark said he competed in any position except kicker. The Dogs recruiting has never been this good. Hey, Sarah. Welcome. Demetrius Robertson is one of those players that we're looking to have a big year this year. D-Rob certainly has the capability. I'm looking for Lawrence Cager to make an impact. I'm looking for George Pickens to make an impact. I wish Matt Landers was able to catch better than he is, because both of those guys, Matt Landers and Lawrence Cager, are both 6'5", and those are really, really tall guys downfield. Hey, thanks, Mark. I appreciate the super chat, sir. Those guys are really long and tall. George Pickens is 6'3", so this now adds an element to. It now adds an element to Georgia's deep ball threat capability. Now, we had some guys that were 6'1", 6'2", but no really 6'5" guys. D-Rob is certainly capable of contributing to that. Let me pull this up real quick. Demetrius Robertson. So, the thing that was really, hold on, goodness. The thing that we were really hoping was that D-Rob was going to be able to make an impact. But unfortunately, D-Rob is one of those players who, again, is 6'1", 6'1", 6'2". And while he's athletic, while he's a great player, I personally feel, and have been saying this for the past couple of years, that you need to have a height advantage, that physical height advantage, because the length of my hand is about 5 inches, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, whatever. But if you've got a player who's 6'5" and he jumps up and he's got a 5-inch reach advantage over whomever he's going up against, that's huge. Taller players tend to have longer arms, so that increases that height advantage a little more. And all of a sudden, these 50-50 balls are no longer 50-50 balls. They're like 70-30, 80-20. So it makes a big, big difference. UGA receiving core is extremely underrated this season with Fromm as seasoned as he is, the chemistry he has, how he is able to up the confidence level of his teammates is going to stick out. I think so too. Wingspan is huge. D-Rob is going to show out this year, but I think Blaylock, which I've seen him play when he was at Walter High and Pickens and Hoover, are going to have an instant impact. I agree. But you got to keep in mind that George Pickens is still a freshman. Until I see that guy play on a college field, I am gonna say, I'm looking forward to him playing, but I'm gonna reserve just a little bit until we get him on the field. Anyone here need not question the dogs. Soon enough, we all might be crying, who let the dogs out? No, and good and well, Kirby let the dogs out. Roll Tide, says Sarah. Mark says, understand them. One of the things that I think is a major factor for Georgia not having a national championship under the tutelage of Kirby Smart is the inept play calling ability of Jim Chaney. Jim Chaney, it's like beating a dead horse at this point, but Kirby Smart is about evolving this program. He's not trying to be a 10-2 team every year. He's trying to be a national championship competing team every year. In the past 3 years, Georgia has certainly taken strides in the right direction and continuing to do so. And I think that a head coach making the tough decision of getting rid of an offensive coordinator who was, in my opinion, very much like Mark Richt, good, but never going to be great. He had to make a decision to let that guy go in the pursuit of greatness. So I think that's kind of where we were at with that. Let me find my other article I wanted to look at. Okay, Justin Flo, talked about that already. Updates for Zamir White as preseason camp begins. Zamir White has had 2 knee injuries. I think his right knee went out in his last season of high school, and then his left knee went out in a punt return package. So I don't know why in the world he's on a punt return package, but whatever. The good news is Georgia has excellent medical staff. We see knee injuries. Unfortunately, we see knee injuries almost every single year, from Todd Gurley to Nick Chubb, Zamir White. We've seen some knee injuries, so we know what to do with that. If Kirby has got this guy out there practicing, he says he's in good shape. The other players say they're in good shape. That he feels good. He's out there practicing. Awesome. Also, Dewan Mathis has been cleared completely, so we're looking forward to having him back. Patrick Connor. Not a Tennessee fan, but they got their team going in the right direction. I love it. I guess he means live in Knoxville. I can see Tennessee sneaking a win in on Georgia. I'm not a Tennessee fan either, and I try to be objective, but I don't see how Tennessee is there yet. I think that they've got a lot of progress to make. I don't think they have the caliber of running backs to really have an effective offense against Georgia's big defensive line. That being the case, Jim Chaney's the play caller, and you're going to know at Georgia that it's going to be run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. If all you do is defend against that package against Jim Chaney and you have some talent, you'll do just fine in shutting him down. Jim Chaney, Dennis says, hold on, let me back up. Mickey Brady says, I agree that wide receiver room is very underrated and is filled with talent, and Fromm is taking up the extra time to get him to be something special. Yep. Dennis says Jim Chaney was thinking more about Krispy Kreme donuts, big dog. That's a possibility. Knowing the way the dogs. Sarah brings up a good point, and the home advantage for Tennessee at Rocky Top is not as substantial as it would be against, say, Florida or South Carolina or LSU or Texas A&M. Georgia's right down the road, and the dogs travel extremely well. So the home field advantage, it's hard to say how much of an impact that's going to be. I've seen Neyland Stadium filled to the brim when Georgia plays, and there's a lot of Tennessee fans there, but there's a lot of Georgia fans there. It's not one-sided. Have you seen how the 1980 schedule is similarly eerie to the schedule in 2019? Yes, I have, and I will also point out that if Georgia doesn't win a national championship this year, you are never going to hear the end about that schedule. My goodness. My goodness. Kirby's a great coach and has been a little conservative in big games. I think he eliminates that this season. I agree. I think twice the conservative play calling in the second halves have really hurt us, and I think there's an opportunity for Georgia to fix that. Tennessee, Mickey says that Tennessee will never beat my dogs. Go Dogs! They've beat us recently, sir. That Hail Mary pass still bugs me. Never underestimate an opponent. I don't see Tennessee there yet. I think Kirby Smart is doing a really good job of looking at every single game as being very, very important. He wants to view each one of those as a way to progress the team, and he's not going to overlook anybody. I think one of the problems that we had, Jake Fromm had a terrible game against LSU, and that terrible game looked to me like a lack of preparation versus where when Georgia played Texas, it just looks like Georgia didn't care. You know what I think? The fourth level denial, so throw Chaney and Fields under the bus. Big Dog, you know what I think? You in 4th and 11 denial. What was the score of that game, Dennis? You're going to sit there and tell me that Nick Saban wasn't in pure desperation mode, that he rolled out a freshman quarterback and hoped that guy would save the day and got lucky on a blown coverage from Georgia in triple overtime? I don't really see how that's a whole lot to brag about. I think that if you played that same game with those same players 3 or 4 times, you're going to see that it's not going to be the same team that's going to sweep that game every time. Objective Tide fans will tell you Georgia's not a team they want to play on a consistent basis regularly. Even the coach says that. So 4th and 11 denial, nah. I know where my team stands. I'm good. I'm good with it. See, the difference is that Georgia wants to play Alabama. Not that whole we want Alabama crap. It's not that. Georgia wants to play Alabama because Georgia wants to prove they're a legitimate team. I think there's probably only 3 teams in the country that can stand up and look the Tide fan base right in the face and say, we're not scared. And that's Clemson. I'd probably say Oklahoma. And Georgia. I think every other team that says that is probably living under some kind of fear factor where they're just saying that to save face. But I'm not intimidated at all to play Alabama again. I would love that game, and if you watch that game, that was a great game. Tennessee is coming. I got to tour the stadium the other day. It was way cool, but the talk from long life staffers there who work in the stadium is there some optimism. I want to see Tennessee return to some greatness, and I've said this about every SEC team except Auburn. I want to see every SEC team beat the brakes off of everybody else they play, except Georgia. I hope you're right, Nick. I certainly hope you're right, sir. Tennessee had a very good football team up until I think Lyle got there, and then he did a fine job of screwing it up. And then Butch Jones got there, and he couldn't get it fixed. And now they're taking Jeremy Pruitt and trying to get it fixed. The media has put Bama out to pasture for years. I mean, you can't knock Nick Saban. I mean, the guy's a hell of a coach. He manages to find a way to just reload his team every year. If you watch him in interviews, he kind of seems like a crabby old man, but he still finds a way to get these recruits to come play for him. So I mean, you got to take your hats off to him for that. Georgia wants to play Alabama again, just like Alabama wants to play Clemson again. I think that's true. I think that's accurate. And it wouldn't surprise me this year if Georgia ended up playing Clemson for the national championship and winning it. If you want to talk about ratings and what's going to pull and draw ratings, Georgia beating Clemson in a national championship game would draw the biggest ratings you could find. Everybody has seen Alabama play Clemson 2 or 3 times now. Alabama's wide receiver group is insane. There's no doubt about that. Georgia can get in the middle of the ring and exchange with anybody. I just don't see anyone beating Bama. I think one of the things you've really got to look at is that I think this year the SEC's West in strength in general is the strongest it's been in any number of years. You've got Texas A&M that's coming up. You've got LSU that's right there. You've got Auburn, who's always a factor, and you've got Alabama. I mean, essentially, if you can get Arkansas back on track, which it's going to take a while, but you know they're trying to. If you can get Arkansas back on track, you're pretty much there. So Bama's got to run the gauntlet of these tougher teams. Now, there's people out there that say the SEC is not the best conference or not the toughest conference, whatever. That just doesn't seem to be the case. In bowl games overall, the SEC has more bowl wins than everybody else, as far as I can find. I'm not saying they're overrated or underrated. I'm just saying that they're a big, tough, physical team. And if you play big, tough, physical teams every single week, by the time you get to late in the season, you're going to have some guys that are beat up and banged up and wore out. I mean, if you play a bunch of Austin Payes all season, you get to the end of the season, you guys really aren't that beat because you've run the score up in the first half, you've taken your main guys out, and your backup guys are getting more experience. Alabama, Georgia are better than Clemson, A&M second year, Auburn, LSU, Alabama, we all in the top 10 in my opinion. Yep. TAMU defense only returns 4 starters. We'll see what happens. They've got some big guys on that team, and Jimbo Fisher is a smart coach, so we'll see what happens. So anyway, the Tennessee needs to work on beating Vanderbilt. Yes, they do. Where's that other thing I wanted to talk about? Justin Flo? Where did you find that he's narrowed it down to Georgia and Clemson? Because everything I can find says Georgia, Clemson, Oregon, and Miami. Yeah, Sarah. Now that you mention that, it it does seem like Dan Mullen's quieted down a little bit. You don't see him out there rattling cages like he was doing. I don't know. Well, maybe they ran out of players. I don't think they got a whole lot of players left. I think they got 10 or 12 players left. So I think they're going to have some guys playing both ways like they did in high school. Man. Oh, you're looking at the commitment ratings. Okay. Thanks, Mark. You have a good day, sir. Appreciate the super chat again. God bless. And be careful. Florida won't have a team to Tebow G. He's leaning more towards Clemson, though. We'll see what happens. I mean, sometimes these guys, they say they lean in one way and they go another. We flip players all the time. So, I mean, it'd be nice to have an inside linebacker like Roquan Smith again, but that guy is almost like a once-in-a-lifetime talent. He's just incredible. I feel like if we'd had that guy last year, we would have done a lot better. Where is the... It's not what I was looking for. Urban Meyer still in trouble. Can't believe that guy's still in trouble. Where's it at? I can't find it. Anyway, it's certainly going to be interesting. Yeah, the thing I like about Kirby Smart is that he's not a guy to get up on that stage and talk a bunch of smack. You know, I mean, he says let's talk with our helmets, let's talk on the field, and he gets out there and he gets after it. I will say this year, watching him in the press conferences and the news releases that he's putting out, he seems more confident. He doesn't seem quite as reserved about how he feels about the team. He also doesn't seem quite as hard in his critiquing of the team as he did. I'm not saying like soft or maybe just happier with what he's seen is kind of how I feel. And that's good news for Georgia fans. If you get out there and you see the head coach who you know has national championship aspirations, and this is how he feels in these interviews, that says a lot about the team. Do I think the LSU offense will be different this year? Yes. Coach O has come out and said that, I mean, he came out and said in SEC Media Days that he's changing their play style to a spread offense. Oh yeah, Kirby's still upset about that. The fact that they picked who they picked for the national for the playoffs. I mean, it just, you know, of course that sticks in your mind, and in a way, it's got to make you think, if you're a head coach, that, you know, even if you play a team and you play them down to the wire, and they end up playing in the national championship game, you probably, and the other teams in there got blown out, that you probably deserved your place in the college football playoffs. I think LSU could take. I think it's possible LSU could beat Alabama, but there's more to that. There's a lot more to that, actually. So here's what you've got. You've got a team that's traditionally been pretty good, LSU, and they're playing against Alabama, a team that's always been great. Both of those teams are evolving their play style and how they go to market, so to speak. Well, then you turn around and you watch Coach O's. You know, he looks at it and he goes, "This isn't working. We got to do something else. We got to find a different way to beat them." And so he's trying to evolve his game plan. Now, roll that back to whenever Auburn beat Alabama and Georgia in back-to-back weeks, right? Georgia beats Auburn beats Alabama, and then Auburn beats Georgia back-to-back. How did that happen? Well, it was because the offensive play style that Auburn was using, neither Georgia nor Alabama was comfortable in how to defend against it. And that was one of the things that really hurt us. Yeah, he did say that. He said, we got to take care of the backup quarterback, which is right. And then I'll get into that in a minute. But I think that if LSU comes out with a very effective spread offense game plan, and it's something that they've seen Alabama struggle with when they played Clemson, I think that's a way that LSU might be able to close the gap between their likelihood of being able to win that game. I think they're going to have to find a different way to come after Alabama than just the tried and true way that they've had before. Nick Saban understands that program, understands that system, and is able to adapt and beat it. So Coach O, being a smart coach, is trying to find a way to get around it. So if LSU does knock off Alabama, I think it will be because that's a weakness, even of the smallest caliber, a weakness that Alabama may have against the spread offense. It's very difficult to run the ball against Alabama, but the teams that have beaten Alabama have had success throwing the ball. And so I think that's the only way you're going to do it. Bama fan underestimates no one. LSU wants it bad. Bama better show up wanting it. Do you guys play in Death Valley this year? You guys play them in Death Valley? I think so. That's a tough place to play. If you guys get them at home, you'll probably win that game. But I think that's really, yeah. Thanks, Matt. I really think that's probably the best chance, I guess is the lack of a better word, best chance that LSU has. It was a great spark of momentum for Bama in the second half against Georgia in both games with backup QBs. Bama didn't have that before. Home game for Bama. Is it at LSU or is it Alabama? Now you guys got me confused. I thought it was at LSU. Georgia has a ton of home games this year. I think we only have like 2 road games. It's crazy. So there's definitely some opportunity there. By the time Alabama, okay, it's at Alabama. Went to LSU last year. Okay, I can definitely see Alabama winning that game. I just can't. Is it possible for LSU to win that game? It's possible, but we'll see what happens. So, 1 second here. Go to check something. This thing does not tell me how much battery life I have left, but whatever. If it shuts off, it shuts off. So, the Georgia has 4 road games: Vandy, Tennessee, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, not really much of a road game. It's 90 miles from Athens, so it's not much of a road game. Auburn, that's a road game. Vandy, Tennessee. So we'll see what happens. We play Vandy early, play Georgia Tech at the end of the season. Do you actually think LSU has changed the offense, or is it the same smoke they blow off every season? No, I think he is changing the offense. Tua's little brother is a sleeper. He may be, but he doesn't have a whole lot of college experience right now. So we'll see what happens. Oh, man. It's getting warm out here. Don't see Florida beating Auburn. I don't either. I don't either. I don't think Florida is going to beat much of anybody this year. Apparently, that's supposed to be our hardest game, according to some of the college football playoff index predictions, or what football prediction index or something like that. They give Georgia like a 64% chance to win that game. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think Georgia's got a way better chance of winning that game than that. And I think it's going to be because of the play calling style and change that you're going to see. I just think Georgia's got Florida's number. I think Kirby Smart has Dan Mullen's number rung up and plastered on the wall, and I don't think there's anything Dan Mullen can do about it. So, it is what it is. Who is the backup quarterback for Alabama this year? Favorite non-Georgia player to watch ever? Ever? Well, if he didn't go to Auburn, I'd say Bo Jackson, but can't say that because he went. I have to say Jadeveon Clowney. That guy hits like, just never seen a football player play with that kind of intensity before. Whenever they played Michigan, he hit that guy so hard he knocked his helmet off by himself, then picked up the fumble and ran it in for a touchdown. My goodness. A once-in-a-lifetime talent. The ferocity that guy played with on a team that didn't really have a team around him to support him the way that it should. But, my goodness, Jadeveon Clowney was just insanity, man. He was one of those guys. He was one of those guys that I could watch no matter what team they were playing. He's just incredible. If you look, and I'm just pulling up his stats real quick. If you look at Jadeveon Clowney, he's been playing for Houston since 2014. Now, his freshman year, his rookie year, he really didn't play much, right? But his second year there, he had 40 combined tackles, 4.5 sacks. Next year, 52 with 6 sacks. 2017, 59 combined tackles for 9.5 sacks, and last year 47 combined tackles with 9 sacks. The guy's still out there crushing it. Just an incredible player. If you want to watch a player who gets after it, watch him. What's going on, C-Dog West? Oh, I missed something from Bulldog. Hold up, from Bulldog Freakazoid. Yeah, but I don't see Mac Jones or Tua's brother living with that kind of hype here, given the experience they don't have. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Some dude named Mac Jones is Bama's backup. Jace the Tiger asks if I watch Uncle Lou. Jace, that probably means, if you ask that question, that probably means this is one of the first times you've ever been in my stream. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Yeah, I watch Uncle Lou almost every single day. It's lowered my cholesterol. I watch it like I'm supposed to. I always hit the like button because it's free. You know, even though he operates out of his grandma's basement. Uncle Lou is one of my favorite YouTube personalities. He's helped me with my channel. Great guy. Saban knew what he was doing. Very smart decision. Knew it would give up. I knew it would happen given the outcome of the first half. Yeah. So I think that the defense side of the ball, we're doing a really good job at Georgia as far as being able to figure out the game plan. I think it was our offense that kind of let us down a little bit last year. Now, obviously, there were some mistakes made by the defense. There's people that talk about the penalties that should have been called, could have been called, would have been called, didn't get called. Doesn't matter. C-Dog West says, do the right thing on here as well. Hit the like button and share. Thanks, sir. I appreciate that. You know, and I'm convinced if I can get 1 million subscribers and get everybody to give me 50 cents, I'll be half a millionaire. But we'll see what happens. It'll probably happen. It'll probably happen to me, and the next day I'll get hit by a semi truck. No, I get on here, and my channel is, you know, I make this channel so I can interact with other fans. I make this channel so that I can try to disseminate some information that maybe other fans haven't seen. A lot of people jump onto this stream and they share information they found that I don't know about, and that helps share it with the fan base. The information is so sporadic and spread out across college football, it's really difficult for any one news source to track it down. But I feel like by having kind of an open conversation dialogue with other subscribers, it really helps the fan bases. I like that I have fans in here from other teams. I like that I have fans in here at this University of Georgia, and I like to get everybody talking together. It's just, it's fun to me. I enjoy it. And I'll be honest with you, the day that this becomes work is, and I don't want to do it anymore, and I dislike it, and I feel like I have to make myself do it, or I feel like I have to force my content, I won't do it anymore. When I first started doing this, there were some videos where there was something I wanted to do, and I did it, but it felt like I forced it. I went back and deleted those videos. I didn't like them, and that's not the way I wanted to represent myself. I appreciate that, C-Dog. Dwayne, I agree. Talia had good stats. I felt last season may affect Saban showing his hand prematurely. I think that you can absolutely bet that when it comes to Kirby Smart for the rest of his college coaching football career, he will always be paying attention to the backup quarterback. He's never going to let that get past him again. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. So, yeah. Sarah's always in my stream. Dwayne's always in my stream. Jermaine's here. Bulldog Freakazoid's here. Nicholas is on here pretty regular. Matt Miller, I think you are. Alfonso, I know that you're on here from time to time, pretty regular. Mickey Brady, I'm not real familiar with you. You may be. Benjamin Hawkins, I'm pretty sure is on. Mark Paul, even though he's off the stream, he's on here pretty regular. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people that jump on here. Thanks, Sarah. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining on. We'll see you next time. It's good having you. VTW, yep, he's always on here. There's a guy that jumps on. His name's Bolton. He's on here. There's a Jaden that jumps on here. Paramount Highlights. He's usually on here. Yeah. Tiger Raven. There he is. Uncle Lou is hilarious. The thing, I think some people take him too seriously, and I don't. you know, I think some people need to understand that it's kind of a comedy channel and it's a smack talk channel, and he has a good time with it. Dennis Wilson, you're always on here, sir. You love trolling me. Big Dog, what happened down on Bourbon Street, UGA, on a 2-game streak? Bye, Sarah. Thank you again. You know, I haven't seen Mary Clouser in a while. She used to be on here all the time. If you guys know her or see her, tell her we miss her. I know, right? Bourbon Street. Yeah, we got to fix that. But we don't play you guys very often, so it's okay. Need to start to warm up out here. Whew. But this year, I think you're going to see that the University of Georgia's receiving core is going to come out and make some big changes, make some differences. You're going to see more shots downfield. Jake Fromm's going to be more confident as a play caller. He's progressed and gotten better every year. Biggest chance of an upset, Notre Dame at Georgia or Army at Michigan. You started watching me at the beginning of the Atlanta Legends. That's interesting because I was really excited about that, man, and it just kind of fell apart. But back to Matt's question. I'd say Army, Michigan. Army's got no business beating Michigan. At least if Notre Dame beats Georgia, Georgia can say, well, yeah, you know, they made the playoffs last year. It's a decent team. I don't think Army's got any shot at making the playoffs. So if that happens, you know, at least you got something you can say about it, you know. I don't think it's going to happen, but you know, it is what it is. What would be interesting, though, the year that Georgia won the national championship, you know, we played Notre Dame for the national championship. In order for us to do that this year, we would have to we'd have to lose to them so that they could be undefeated. We'd have to win the SEC championship, and then they would have to be first seed, which is unlikely. Georgia would have to be, they'd have to be first seed because it's highly unlikely Georgia would be third or second if we lost to Notre Dame early in the season. They'd have to be first seed, they'd play the fourth seed, we'd play second seed, and then both of us would win, and then we'd play them for the national championship. That would be the only way that it would work out again this year. If we beat them earlier in the season, they're going to take a loss. They have no championship game to recover that with, so they would not make the playoffs. So Georgia would actually have to lose to Notre Dame the first time in order to play them in the national championship again. When Georgia went to South Bend, there was 70+% Georgia fans. That stadium was filled. And their local media, the local guys like me, I guess is what you would say, the ones that have a show or whatever, those guys were telling their fans, telling other people, stop selling your tickets to Georgia fans. There's almost no tickets for Notre Dame fans. Stop selling your tickets to Georgia fans because Georgia fans were paying the money to go watch their team play. And it was a great game. I wish I'd have went to it, but it is what it is. So when you get to the end of the day, you know, that's the only way I think that scenario could play out. Maybe there's another one, but I just don't think that there's a simple solution for Georgia playing them in a national championship game short of losing to them in that first game, and I really don't think that's going to happen. We fill the stadium up in South Bend. When they come to Athens, I can guarantee you, if their fans couldn't get up out of their chairs in their own home city to go to that game, I certainly don't believe they're going to come all the way down here at all. I think that Georgia's going to rock that stadium out about 80 to 90% Georgia fans, and that place is going to be deafening. The cheapest tickets I've seen for that game is like $1,400. It's crazy. Vandy versus UGA this season is a home game for UGA. I think somebody said that was an away game, but I think it's a home game. I think you're right. UGA schedule. See, I'm probably going to start using this iPad more often because it gives me the ability to Yeah, we're gonna be. No, it says we're gonna be at Vandy. It says Georgia at Vandy on the SEC Network, August 31st at 7 p.m. I love night games too. Man, I love night games. I don't even care that it's at Vandy. It's a night game. I love night games. So, oh yeah, there's gonna be a ton of dogs at that game. Ton of dogs. So yeah. So I want to throw something out there and see what you guys can come up with. So the name of my channel has always been Big Dog Brett, and that's great. And I came up with the name. I like the name. But what I'm looking for is some ideas on what to add to it. Like if I want to do, I got a Facebook group that's called Big Dog's Doghouse. And it sounds kind of redundant. And I want to find another name. Volunteer Roadshow, which is Bobby C. Catfish, that's his thing. And then you've got Uncle Lou Tube, that sort of thing. I want to find an idea. Catholics versus dogs. Pictures this rivalry, Dennis. So, if you guys come up with some ideas as to what we can, kind of add a channel name, not just Big Dog Brett, just something to set aside a little bit different. If you guys have some ideas, throw them out there. Bring up the idea a few more times, and then I'll probably pick something out. Name the annoying UGA fan. There's so many of us, sir. That doesn't really set me apart. Dog days. There's definitely some dog days right now. Melissa May says Roll Tide. Oh, night games in Baton Rouge can be tough. Absolutely. The Brett Dog Pound. So many choices. I'm gonna keep after it for a while. We'll see what happens. Melissa May. The Dog Pound. I think that one's actually taken. Clemson is going to South Bend in 2020. They just love. I will say they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle with Clemson. If Clemson doesn't get another new player, which we know that's not the case, they're going to struggle. Not Clemson. Notre Dame's going to struggle. The Entertainment Warehouse. Oh, you guys crack me up. So, I want to try and maybe getting a new background to start doing this in. One of the guys I had on my channel sent a message or left a comment that said he wanted to see a different backdrop. Thought it would help the channel, so I'm looking around trying to find a backdrop. I'm going to start doing some, some green screen or blue screen stuff. One of the interesting things about this channel is that it has forced me to learn so much more about editing and video and lighting and software and just in general that I never would have learned before. Matt, no. Put one of Saban up. Melissa, just so you know, whenever I do, there are teams that I do recruiting reviews on and returning player reviews on and things like that. And I do put up, their player information and, the pictures of their players and things like that. I do have my trash talk videos, in which those will be coming soon. But the videos that I do for the teams, I try to be objective with those, try to be fair, try to be honest. Obviously some of my Georgia loyalty, I guess is what you'll call it, it's going to bleed through into some of that. A lot of the times whenever I'm comparing teams, I often compare them to Georgia simply because Georgia, I know the most about Georgia than I do any other team. So I always draw comparisons back to Georgia. And Georgia's pretty good at a lot of things, so it kind of gives me a good, it's a good litmus test for how I think we're going to do. So far, I picked Georgia to win every game for the most part. If we lose a game this year, which I haven't done my prediction video for Georgia, but I need to do that too. Put it out. Melissa, I believe I've already done a video for Alabama. If you want to roll back through some of the videos and check, you can find some stuff on there. Now, while I want to beat Alabama, as every team does, I have a lot of respect for what that program's built over there. It's a good, solid team. If you change the name of that team if you put that team in Georgia and you change the name, or you put that team in LSU and you change the name, every single person that's the fan of that team is going to talk about how good they are. It's not just Bama fans. I think if we can get over our mental state to lose it to the West in a regular season, we will have a better chance at the title. We just got to do it. There's been a lot of people that's brought up the fact that Georgia seems to have difficulty with an SEC West team on the road. I personally think that's an anomaly. I think that's just the way the cards have fallen. I don't think it has anything to do with it being an SEC West team or that it being on the road. My point in case is that we go out of town and we play Notre Dame and we beat them. We go out of town and we play Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl and we beat them. Georgia doesn't have a problem playing in big games on the road. I think that's just the way the cards fell that time. I think it's one of those stats that you kind of look at it and you go, that's interesting. And then at the same time you go, probably not a lot to it, and move forward. So, yeah. I like Nick Saban, but hate the rest of Bama. Listen, there's two reasons why Alabama is as popular in Alabama as it is. And it's because, well, have you ever been to Alabama? There ain't nothing there. I was stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I was stationed in Fort McClellan, Alabama. And I can tell you, there is nothing in Alabama. There's just not. It's not a knock against Alabama. There's just nothing there. So, of course, college football is going to be dominant. Predictions for college football playoff as of right now. Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, and depending, you may see Oklahoma, which I think has the best shot. You may see Ohio State, or you may actually see Washington. Been to Auburn, Alabama in 2010. Not much has changed. I despise our bandwagon fans myself. I wish I could slap the taste out of them. Melissa, you're going to fit in just fine around here. So, one of the things that bothers me is that there are fans that are bandwagon fans that will cheer the team on when the team's doing well, but then they either completely abandon the team or they trash talk them whenever they're not doing good. And they don't even know the name of the coach. They don't know the name of the quarterback. They don't even know the name of the other team they played last week. That stuff frustrates me. It just does. It's like the only reason you're a fan is to have something to talk about, and that bothers me. See, I'm the kind of fan that whenever Georgia scores a touchdown, put it this way: I used to live in South Carolina. When Georgia played against South Carolina, if I wasn't at the game, every time Georgia scored a touchdown, I was screaming "Touchdown Georgia" out the back of my back door, so all my neighbors in South Carolina could hear it. Put them on the spot. That's what I enjoy doing. Oh, I do it. I have to be careful though, because my fandom will take over. It's like, man, if this is how you treat your college football team, I'm glad I am not one of your relatives. Oh man, whew, it's getting hot out here. So, less than 30 days, college football is back. Really looking forward to seeing how the team has developed. Kirby seems to be really excited about how the team has developed. I haven't heard any players getting injured for any of the teams, and that includes Georgia, Alabama, Florida, LSU, TAMU, Clemson, Oklahoma. None of the teams I've heard have really had any injuries, which is good. I never want to see a player get injured. Dwayne's telling his age, man. Been a loyal fan since 1979 when Bear Bryant won his last national championship. Lots of ups and downs. Roll Tide. Yep. Georgia won the next one. Made Bear Bryant quit. I'm just giving you sand. I'm just giving you grief. But and I never want to see a player get injured. I'm not. There's fans out there. Oh yeah, we're gonna be ready to go next year. We're gonna be ready to go this year too. 26 days until Clemson runs down the hill. Just don't fall down running down that hill, Tiger. How's Maryland this time of year, Tiger? Weather forecast. Right now it's 83 degrees. Feels like it's 87. Man, it's getting hot out here. But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, there's fans out there. He said when he was 6, he was a bandwagon fan for Alabama. Seeing these players get out there and get injured really concerns me. It bothers me. It worries me because these guys are putting a lot of work and a lot of support from their friends and family and coaches and teachers and whatnot to try to help these guys move forward in their career. So really, when I see a player get injured, it's not just a player. Good night, man. 71 degrees, but feels like 80. I of course feel very upset that the guy got hurt, but it also makes me think about all the other people that's watching this kid that they're invested in as well. So there's a lot more to it when a player gets hurt than just that player. That's why I've never been a fan of seeing a player get hurt. God, I lost train of thought. He said feel like 350 degrees. That's hot. That's hot. So, well, guys, that's pretty much it. Oh, Devon Gales. That player that was paralyzed played for Georgia Southern and got paralyzed playing in a game against Georgia. Georgia has since taken that guy under this wing. They've helped him with all his medical stuff. They raised money to buy him an ACA house so that he could, have a house that was comfortable for him to live in. And for those of you who don't know, he recently got a job as a high school football coach here in Georgia. So, just one of the many things that makes me proud to be a Georgia fan, and just proud of my home state. So, all right, guys. Well, on that note, we're gonna call it a day. It's heading on over an hour here. Hit like, subscribe, share, thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Trying to get to 1,600. Hopefully, with you guys' help, we'll get there. So, look forward to seeing you guys soon. Won't be long till those dogs are on the field. So, you guys have a great day. That's right, time to go swimming. God bless. Go Dogs.